So I don't know. Maybe we're moving into the age of the judgment, the experience worker. Maybe those words are more applicable now because there's where the value is. Yeah. Because the knowledge is ubiquitous, it's free.
Yep.
What do you do with it?
Equipping creative businesses to unleash their best work.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Chief Creative Podcast, the show that equips creative businesses to unleash their best work. I'm Dustin Peed, your host, founder of Chief Creative Partners, where you get to create because we operate. Now, today's conversation is one that I've been wanting to have for a while now because it sits right at the center of something that every creative business owner is wrestling with right now. And of course, that topic is AI, and whether it's coming for our jobs or if it's changing what our jobs actually are. And so my guest today is Christian Brim. He's the founder and owner of Core Group out of Oklahoma City. And Christian and I have known each other for a while now. And honestly, he's the guy at Core. His business at Core Group is who I trust and who we trust at Chief Creative Partners with our own finances to handle our books, our taxes, any of our money questions that we have about operating a business. They're the ones that help us because they are designed specifically to help with creative businesses. So in our conversation, we're going to get into a chatbot that he's been testing out, an AI chatbot, and then that's going to turn into a much bigger conversation about Andy Stanley's idea of replacing yourself and why the age of the knowledge worker might be ending and why experience and judgment, not necessarily knowledge, might be the new unique value prop for every creative business owner listening to this right now. So if you've ever wondered whether you should be playing more in the AI sandbox or whether your skill set is about to get eliminated, stick around. This one is a good one. Well, Christian Brim, thanks so much for joining me here today on the Chief Creative Podcast. We're going to have a little kind of conversation around AI. You and I were chatting recently about a chatbot that you had kind of started implementing and testing out and building with your company, the Core Group. Why don't you tell me a little bit about kind of why you decided to do that, what its purpose was, what problem were you trying to solve there as we enter into this conversation of AI and replacing ourselves?
Well, I wasn't really trying to solve a problem. I was exploring. As you know,
it's a great visionary term, by the way.
Right. No, I'm just exploring.
All visionaries are like, because all the guys like me are trying to make stuff happen. We're all just like, okay, well, here's the 8 things we need to do, and you're like, no, I'm just playing in the sandbox, and you're like,
that is 100% right, and that was exactly Chelsea's reaction. She was Wait a minute, stop. Yeah. I had been doing some work with category design, Christopher Lockhead, as we were discussing in the green room. They, as part of their subscription, have these bots, the Christopher Lockhead box, and then I can't remember the other guy, Mike Lee, I think is his name, bot. And like you can go in and have a conversation with it about category design. Like, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I've come up with. Tell me where I'm right or wrong. And I was looking at the tool they used, a tool called Delphi. And so, essentially what it does is you can self-train it, or it can also pull from various sources, including podcasts and Substack. And, essentially whatever you've got out there will, pull it in and train on it and create this avatar for you. And I'm like, I'll give it a try, see what's happening. And it's been interesting. I haven't got enough feedback from it to really know that it's worth continuing. It's not expensive, but I wasn't really, to answer your question, I wasn't really trying to solve a problem. I was just exploring what the technology could do.
Yeah, and is it worth adding? You said, is it worth it? And my mind immediately goes to, in this in this world of AI, and it's opened up so many possibilities, and I can't stand it when creatives are like, AI is killing creativity, and I'm just like, I think it's enhancing it. It just gives you a different way of enhancing it. But is it worth adding to your tech stack? Is it worth adding to your methodology when in a world of distraction, simplicity is the answer, right? But is it worth kind of hiring? You almost have to look at software as a hiring decision, right?
Yes.
It's like, hey, I'm gonna hire this software to kind of come in and do some things. So where did you ultimately land? This is not an ad for or against Delphi, but like, where did you ultimately? All right, you said you're still testing it.
I'm still testing it. There is a free layer. I did the paid layer on a month to month, and I probably won't continue it. I'll probably downgrade, but I don't know. This Delphi is primarily designed for public facing personas. Like, so if you are an expert in XYZ, or you're a speaker, or you're on different media, just to kind of enhance that presence.
Yeah.
But before I proceed on that thought, I think exactly what you said is exactly right. It has opened up the possibilities of what you can do.
Yes.
The question is, should you be doing them? Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's real easy to get to get enamored by, oh, look what this can do. Look at these new toys. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fun.
Without really trying to say, well, is there a purpose behind it? Is there some problem that you're trying to solve? Yeah. And the answer in my case is no. But I do think by looking at it, I can see, like, I know you do a lot of AI in your SOPs, and what I think AI does a fantastic job of doing is categorizing data and the user interface being more user friendly to be able to get the answer that they really need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out, for instance, why all the software companies still have help pages. Yeah. Like, why am I looking at help articles? And how awful those, you put in the search tool, right, in the search bar, and words you think it might, key, right, and you get 10 articles, and I'm like, well, this doesn't answer my question. I'm like, that's the application for AI. And I think there's a ton of opportunity, both internally and externally, for that use case.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the the help pages now are they're less there for people to actually go use them in the traditional sense, but now they're there for the AEO, right? For the answer engine optimization.
Correct.
Right? And so when someone Googles or chat GPTs, how do I do XYZ? Then hopefully their website or their answer comes up, and people will notice that, oh, this answer was found on this website, or, that kind of thing, to get them out there. But this whole conversation started, Christian, when we were talking about Andy Stanley, who's a pastor here in the Atlanta, Georgia area, wrote a book a long time ago called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Ministry. And me coming from the church world, there's a lot of overlap there, for better or worse, from ministry to business and leadership and how to do things the right way. Andy wrote in one of the 7 practices is to replace yourself. And I think that's a hot topic, very sensitive topic right now, because AI, a lot of people are afraid, is going to replace them. But I actually think that it's good to try to replace about 80% of probably what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, so that you can focus on the 20% that only you can do. That's nothing new. That's an old leadership adage. It's, as old as John Maxwell, right?
Right.
So how have you seen, and how have you been using technology, AI or whatever, to start replacing yourself? That's kind of where we started this conversation with the whole Delphi thing. Are there any other ways that you're doing that to help maybe offload so that you can level up? Or are you seeing it as the opposite, where it's just coming and taking over and you can step out completely?
Christopher Lochhead had this quote I pulled and I shared with the team. He said, technology, he wasn't saying specifically AI, although that was the context of the conversation, but he said technology doesn't eliminate jobs. It changes where the value is created.
Yeah, that's good.
Right? And I don't do a lot of routine things. So what I have run into in my implementation of AI personally is oftentimes it has not been, the juice has not been worth the squeeze to teach it to do what I need to do, because my perception is that it's easier for me to just do the thing because I don't have a lot of routine things. However, I think the advent of agents this year has changed that paradigm because someone else has already figured it out, right? Like I don't have to train it. Someone else has already figured out that agent and I can download it for free and use it, right? That's why 6 weeks ago, I bought a mini Mac. I am now part of the cult, which was a strangely uncomfortable transition going to Macintosh on a desktop, right?
Yeah.
Because I perceived that it would work natively easier with Claude agents and other AI than Windows. How I use Claude Code is in helping me refine my thoughts. So usually what I do is I give it a paradigm and I say, okay, I want you to hold me to this paradigm as I'm thinking through these things and I'm presenting ideas. Make sure that I'm being consistent in achieving what I said I wanted to achieve, kind of keeping me from wandering, right? Or going down a rabbit hole that is wrong. But here's what's wild. I did one Claude bot on Mike Damphouse. He's another category design guy. He wrote a book, and I read it, and I'm like, it's how they consult people to do category design. And I took all of the principles and I created a bot. I'm not using the LLM. I'm using Claude Code. I wrote a bot with the principles of his book. And I said, this is what I'm trying to do. And I want you to push back where you see that I'm veering off of the paradigm, right?
Yeah, that's good.
What was wild was I had a hour-long conversation with Mike. I uploaded the transcript to the bot, and it proceeded to tell me why Mike was wrong. And I'm like, hold on a second.
This is the guy.
Yeah, he wrote the book, right? Right? And Chelsea had been trying to use the LLM Claude in a similar way. And I was sharing that experience with her is like, it's a powerful tool, but you really have to be careful I think using these things, thinking is even more important, because if you just accept what comes back, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You have to have judgment. You have to have context to know if what it's telling you even makes sense.
Yeah, or is applicable.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned perception and then just now judgment. I think it's interesting. You and I have had conversations on and offline, and you have conversations with your clients all the time about their unique value proposition or what problem they're trying to solve and their unique place. And the conversation now in the landscape of all businesses, but certainly in creative businesses, is what is your unique value prop going to be when someone can go on ChatGPT and create their own thumbnails? Why do they need to hire a designer for that? And I think our the reason why I use a company like Core Group rather than just some AI bot to balance all my books and file my taxes for me, which I'm sure is coming, is because of your perspective, your judgment, and your experience. And I think that that's an interesting shift that we're having to make, obviously, like worldwide, culturally speaking, but even more specifically in our fields, working with creative professionals, of my unique value prop is the perspective, experience, and judgment that I bring. It's not necessarily what I do for you anymore. It's more about thought leadership. How have you seen that play out?
Well, I'm not really trying to hump Chris Lockhead, but the guy is just brilliant. He made us. He wrote an article recently about how, or his AI did. I don't know. Is that the age of the knowledge worker is gone, and that's been where we've been for the last 60, 70 years. I don't remember who coined the phrase. It may have been Maxwell, but it's been prevalent all of my adult life, where we've essentially moved from the industrial age to the age of the knowledge worker. And the problem is that the knowledge has been commoditized, democratized. Anybody can know anything, but it's the same thing of watching a bunch of golf videos and actually going out and playing golf, right? There's no substitute for the experience.
Yeah.
Because the experience gives you the context and judgment to say, does this even make sense?
Because we all watch that and we're like, I could do that.
That's easy, right? Look at it.
And then you get out there and you swing a golf ball and it dribbles, 30 yards to the left, and that's
I've hooked it so hard right it hit the cart, and my partner was in it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've done that many times. Times.
That was an embarrassing moment. So I don't know. Maybe we're moving into the age of the judgment, the experience worker. Maybe those words are more applicable now because there's where the value is. Yeah. Because the knowledge is ubiquitous, it's free.
Yep.
What do you do with it?
Yeah, and also the application too, right?
Yeah.
Like, we talk all the time, and this is nothing new again, but we talk about, giving your stuff away, giving away your frameworks, giving away your methodologies, giving all that stuff away. And, to someone who's young in business, they're like, well, I can't give that away. That's the secret sauce. Like, if I give that away, then people will just do it on their own. And I go, no one's doing it on their own. They're training AI agents to maybe do it on their own, to do it like for them, but no one's doing it on their own. And so the reason they come to people like Core Group or Chief Creative is because, yes, they can do all the things that we're doing because the knowledge is out there, right? It all exists out there in the ether. They can listen to Christian Brim podcast, they can listen to my podcast, they can read books, they can all that stuff. They can go, I could probably figure this out myself. They probably can, but they don't have the time for it. And time is the commodity that we just can't get back. It's the one thing that's burning constantly. And so what we do with our time every single day matters, I think, now more than ever.
Yes. And I think, the conversations I've had on my podcast, and you've probably heard me say this, is that the shift for a lot of creatives that's really making them uncomfortable is like, I learned a skill. I'm a designer. I'm a videographer. I'm a copywriter. I'm like whatever. And then all of a sudden, it's like people aren't buying that, right? Or they're buying it differently, or they're not paying as much. And that will happen to accountants. It'll happen to radiologists. It will, like, in some form or fashion, this technology will impact everybody, because what it's doing is it's making the predictions cheaper. But here's the thing, kind of to your point, do you have the judgment or context? Do you understand the limitations of the machine? Do you know where the machine has a blind spot and goes wrong to actually act on that prediction, right?
Yeah.
No, I think it makes much more sense for those tools to be in the hands of the experienced person to leverage their time to say, yeah, that's a solid recommendation. That's a solid choice. Or so I used the medical, and I've been using this for the last 2 years. Is it, WebMD is going to eventually have some diagnostic AI tool or somebody like them where you can upload your blood results and your radiology reports and all of this stuff and say, give me a diagnosis. And it will be at least, if not better, than the diagnosis of a physician. However, are you going to say, oh, well, shit, I've got cancer. I need to go schedule chemotherapy. Like, no, you're not going to do that without involving a human. Right?
Yeah.
That's the judgment part. And what I see out there with, specifically in the creatives, is this paradigm. So I think most creativity is involved in marketing somehow in the business world, right? Like it's somehow involved in the marketing. And so all of this is shifting from the top down, and people are like, well, I don't need to hire a designer, the business owner. I can just use AI to do the design. I can do the thumbnails, whatever. But here's the thing that they don't know. Should they even be designing thumbnails in the first place? And what does a good thumbnail look like? Because all AI does and all it ever can do is drive to the mean. It's only going to give you the average. It's never going to produce anything good.
Nothing exceptional.
No.
Nothing that stands out.
Yeah. And if good enough is good enough for you, then that may be good enough.
Right. Man, that's good. That's good. We've had this conversation too before we started recording about an AI strategy. And I think when we're having a conversation around, AI replacing us, whether it be on purpose or accidental or fearful or hopeful or whatever the psychology behind that might be, I do think it's important. And obviously you do too at the core group. It's important to kind of have your here's who we are going to be when it comes to AI, because it is such a, it's such a topic. It's such a thing, originality is such a thing. Great versus good is such a thing. Customer service, good service is such a thing. So talk to me about the evolution of the AI strategy that you guys have been working through, and what are some of the conclusions that you're coming to about how it's going to, what its role is going to be at Core Group?
So we I don't think have finished our AI strategy. I think that's part of the rock that we're working on that we'll have completed by next month, but we're pretty far along with it in doing exactly what you said, like defining how we're going to use AI as an organization, which would include things like, what are we willing to let it do versus what we don't want it to do?
Yeah.
That, what are we comfortable as far as its capacities? Structural things like integrity of client data, like not exposing client data to the world, because that's one of the other things people don't really talk about, is that the bad actors are using AI in a nefarious way to steal shit, like in ways that we never contemplated. And it's I was reading one article, like the average of a software, I don't know what's the term they use, but like what's the word? It's like an exposure, not an exposure, like a gap, where vulnerability. Okay, so whether it's a website or a software, like any software vulnerability, on average, it used to take the bad actors 700 days, 2 years, to figure out how to exploit it. That time is now down to 26 days. Like, so there's a glitch in the software and the security somewhere. It doesn't take them a month to figure out how to exploit it. So as far as what your intellectual property is, what you keep internally, and for us, our client data, that's a huge thing that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, like how to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And where we started with the team is what is interesting also is the younger people in our organization are the most resistant to it. And
do you think it's because they believe it's coming for their job?
I think there's an element of that. I think there's an element of there's a strong pushback, from the environmental impact and a lot of, of those factors. But what we've asked the team to do is just explore the possibilities. Like, pick a problem, see if it can fix it. Not to necessarily solve the problem. Like, it might not be able to solve the problem, but like just see what the capacity is. Kind of like what I did with the Delphi. Just play around with it, get in the sandbox and play with it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I wanted to make a point earlier when we were talking about the getting in the sandbox and just playing around with it, that I just finished reading Austin Kleon's new book. It's called "Don't Call It Art," and in it, it's basically, hey, what did he learn about creativity from his kids? And he talks about how some of the most successful authors, like in our lifetime, that we would know, name recognition, household name recognition, that they spent more of their time reading than writing. And I think in our culture today, we think that we have to constantly produce or else we're going to get left behind. But what we're producing is so shallow because we're not putting enough in. And so he talks about, having work that looks like play. And you were talking about playing around in the sandbox with it, and your ops person is going, okay, great, here's the 8 things we need to do, and you're like, nah, I'm just playing.
Right.
Like, and your ops person is just like, well, when you play, please don't tell me because I think it's something that we're running on.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But I think in this, getting back to creativity and AI, I think that's where most of my time on AI these days looks like play, and it looks like me trying to go like, I wonder, and the wonder. Right. It's the that type of word, that type of stance, if you will, is the engine of creativity. Right. I say when I lead brainstorm sessions, I have 2 rules. Number 1, there's no bad ideas. And number 2, start everything with what if, because it immediately unlocks and depressurizes the situation of it being, hey, what if monkeys jumped off the tree and swung around our house? Like it just throws the whole, what could, the reality, right out the window. And so I think it's interesting to think about AI and creativity and go, there might be some play there, and that's okay, because we need to have that wonder. We need to have those what ifs in order to actually produce good, human, genuine, better than the standard creativity.
I would 100% agree with that statement, but I would take it even further by saying that, or maybe you're implying this and just didn't say it, but there's no intent behind it. Specifically, no commercial intent, but really, if you think about the idea of play, and I don't think entrepreneurs, I know myself, I don't play enough.
Yeah.
And play is like you're doing it for the fun of it. Like when you were at recess and you were playing tag, it wasn't to accomplish something.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
And so often as entrepreneurs, we get locked in. I mean, that was where we started our conversation, right? Like what are we trying to accomplish with this? Should you be doing this? And being able to just do something for the fun of it,
right,
is wildly creative and helpful because you unlock a different part of your brain.
Yeah.
You mentioned writing. I have resisted journaling for decades. I've started and stopped it. And as I've been doing it, it's unlocked physically writing.
Yeah.
There was a Norwegian study that I read about right after I started it again that they had done where they gave students, the exact same words to write or type. And they tracked the neurological effect on it. And it's not even close. Physically writing produces so much more brain activity in different parts of the brain. And I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's slower, like, and it involves different parts of your, I don't know. But I absolutely experienced it because as I was writing through, I was like gaining more insight. Like, it was like, yes, I agree with you 100%. We need to have more wonder because, and this is what I'll conclude with. We have zero idea where this is going.
Yeah.
And I don't care who you are. You don't know because if you look back at the Industrial Revolution, when they invented the steam engine, they could not foresee how that was going to transform not just the manufacturing process, but how it changed society.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way to predict it.
Yeah.
And if we're stuck locked in trying to solve problems, we're not gonna have any insight at all. But if we sit back and wonder and ask what if, that's where we need to be right now.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. To conclude the conversation, people that listen to this podcast and who we serve at Chief Creative is, creative business owners. Future casts, I know we just said we don't know where this is going, but let's take AI out of the picture. Well, not completely out of the picture. Let's focus more on the creative business owner for a second. 10 years from now, where do you see a creative business owner fitting in their business, and is it any different than it is today?
I don't know about 10 years. That seems like a very long time.
Yeah.
I can't see that far. I can see what's happening right now and what the next couple of years look like.
Mm-hmm.
And it is no more, well, I have this skill. This is what I do. That business model goes away.
Yeah.
And it's not like AI is going to create all the videos out there. Are there going to be videographers? Absolutely. But the transition is to understanding what exactly the problem you're solving and where that value point, like Chris said, the value point shifting.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that you're going to have to be able to do, maybe not personally, but the resources you bring to bear are going to be much more varied and different than they are right now.
Yeah.
It's not going to be just like, I do this. That's what I see. You pointed out, I have been saying for a long time of knowing what you solved, and entrepreneurs are problem solvers. The problems are going to change.
Yeah.
and they are changing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just opportunity.
Yeah, that's good. That's real good. Well, Christian, thanks so much for your time today. If people want to find out more about Core Group and what you guys do, go to coregroupus.com. Is that right?
That is correct.
coregroupus.com. Don't trust your money to the bots as a business owner. Let Core Group handle it. I promise you'll be happy with it. User of Core Group myself, they do great work. The great people are always looking forward, never going to get stuck behind. And so, Christian, super grateful for your time today, and hope to have you back real soon.
Well, I appreciate it, and thank you for the endorsement.
Awesome.